When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
I know that Thanksgiving is next week and everything. And you're already seeing like Black Friday sale and go spend money and be a consumer and do the thing. Look, you're going to have to buy gifts for the people in your life this year. You should send them or buy them or give them cool shit that they're actually going to wear and use and love and cherish that means something. And one of the places you can do that is by going to our sponsor, Shop Tour Bus.
Let me tell you, Shop Tour Bus recently sent me a beautiful package. One of the designs that I recently had mentioned on the show, and
Going down the road feeling bad, right?
Yep, I felt loved and appreciated and special for remembering, and the little touches, the handwritten note, the lifesaver gummies, the pencil to spool, the tape with. It was really beautiful.
You got a bootleg of David Bowie and ZZ Top in your order.
I know.
Yeah.
I saw that laying on the table. That was a cool packet. And
I was just making the
Miracle.
post.
Yeah. And this is something super thoughtful.
I was going to say, that's what they go above and beyond. This
They really do.
This isn't just this has my seal of approval for the most comfortable clothing.
Apple
first of all,
comfort.
And then they go above and beyond with the packaging, with all the extra goodies you get, the chance of getting a Miracle bootleg. I mean, there's so many things that go into what they do, and they're just amazing.
So when you go to order your gift for yourself or for the ones that you love, put in the promo code NoSimpleRoad and they will send it for free shipping.
That's right. I mean, look, you can go to the mall and buy people stuff. You can go on to Amazon and
boring.
Give them something that's got a little heart, man, that you know, the Grateful Dead lover or fish lover in your life is going to cherish and wear proudly. And love.
Support our community, not Targets. And
That's right. That's right. Go to shoptourbus.com or at shoptourbus on Instagram. Put in the promo code at NoSimpleRoad. Put in the promo code NoSimpleRoad, everybody. Get your free shipping. Support the community. Do the thing. My God, these commercials are hard. We love y'all.
No Simple Road. Yeah, here we go.
I know the road may seem to go on forever and a lifetime.
What are you doing?
Mic check.
Checking the plosive on your mic over there.
Yeah. I didn't know you pushed the button yet.
I always push the button when nobody's
push the
know it?
button.
I always do it when no one's looking.
Hello, everybody. We're back. It's Apple.
And Aaron.
And Mel.
And you're here with us. Hey,
And Darwin's here too.
No Simple Road family. What's going on, everybody? It's Friday.
It's Aaron's 52nd birthday.
No, it sure isn't my 52nd birthday.
No,
it's my 53rd.
50.
My wife doesn't even know
She's trying
how old
to
I am.
discount you. That's good, though.
I'm just going to keep it at 52.
That's cool.
You're locked in
That's
at
it.
52.
I'm totally
Like
fine with
next
that.
year, be like,
Can
it's
we-
Aaron's
51?
52nd birthday. Yeah.
52 is a good
No,
place
because
to
we
stop,
already
dude.
established that you're 52, so we
Can
can't
we
go
just
back.
go backwards?
No, this is it.
Damn it.
We were not going forward. We're going to stay right here.
All right.
Reverse aging.
It's my 53rd birthday today, everybody.
Fine.
Yeah. Happy birthday to the conductor.
Yay, me. Woo. What? Wait.
Yay.
Nobody can hear that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, fuck.
Apple, I would like to ask you
Yes.
to do a mini conch on Aaron.
A mini conch?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Aaron's awesome. Oh, mini conch? Okay. Well,
I like it when it's my turn because I don't have pressure.
yeah. You just have to respond
Sometimes
at
you
the
say,
end.
yeah, you can say something at the end.
There's so many things I could say, but mini conch, like, Aaron's my life partner, has been for 40 years, you know, my platonic life partner.
Thank you for qualifying that because there's people that wonder.
Yeah. We wondered sometimes. But I don't know. It's just my best friend. We've walked through this fucking world together for 40 years now.
But that's not really about Aaron. That's about the two of you.
That worked.
Aaron's my
There's no
my life
qualifications.
partner.
There's no
Well,
qualifications
you're
for
saying
the
something
conch.
good about the person, not just something
Yeah,
a
dude,
fact.
fucking get it right.
Okay. I mean, I'm just speaking
Come
from
on.
my perspective.
From my
We've
perspective,
always
it
been
is
there
yours.
for each other. I can always count on her no matter what, no matter what kind of mood we're in, up
There
or
it
down.
is.
If he's down or I'm down, we pick each other up. If we're up, we bring each other down. No, it's true. We do, you know, he's just, I couldn't imagine my life without Aaron in it. It's
Aaron in it?
Yeah, Aaron in it. And everything.
And Aaron Hang?
Yeah, he's my homie.
Thanks,
You can
man.
always
Like-
count on Aaron.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go deeper than that tomorrow, but
Yeah.
it's like kind of mini conch.
Yeah.
Like,
That was cool.
That was cool.
Your turn, babe, for doing mini conches.
We're doing,
Mini
we're doing
conch.
mini conches.
I don't know if Mel's
I want to
capable
hear.
of doing a mini
Tell more
conch.
good stuff about me.
No kidding, right? You're usually rushing us through this.
And
we got to
he's
get to
handsome.
No, hey,
and
we're
he
gonna
take our time
smells
this week.
good.
Yeah, well, Aaron actually does smell good. He really
of the
does
time.
not. Yeah, most of the time. After post gym, stay away. Any other time, step right up. Aaron, that's a good one, Apple. You can really always rely on Aaron. Aaron is everything to me. You're everything to me.
Oh.
You're like my motivator. You're my confidence builder. You're my chef. You're my partner to parent with, my co-parent. And like, you do everything, not just well, but exceptional.
Aw. Thanks,
And when
man.
you don't do it exceptional, the next time you do it, it will be.
I don't do it.
Or that. It's one of those two things. You
Yeah.
either don't do it or you do it incredible.
And I'd say for both of it to like, and he's the best. Like when you're down, when you're both down, he's one of the funnest people to be with. When you're just down, like fuck it, and like it's that too. Like you know how to match
Oh yeah.
the energy. Like oh, we're just doing a fuck everything day. Fucking hell yeah.
That is true. You are always down for the set to do whatever.
Whatevs.
Uh-huh.
And you're amazing. You just bring everything into my life that I want.
Thanks, babe.
And even the stuff that I don't, and I like it still.
Yeah.
I still like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just the best. I just wanted to share that.
He's
Thanks.
the bee's
What about
knees.
Darwin? Can Darwin do the mini conch?
Well, Dad is my favorite dad because he always gives me treats and he takes me downstairs to go to work, and I love going to work with Dad. And through COVID, we really bonded. And
If I could get an operation to just be like connected to him,
Yeah,
I would.
you
I'd be
would.
his Siamese twin.
He
He
really
could
would.
never walk away from me ever.
thanks for giving me your side of the bed. And you're the best dad ever.
You're welcome, Darwin. Love you, buddy. Yeah, it's my birthday. You know, my family, my mom, really, not so much my dad, but my mom really would like, birthdays were a big deal. It was a lot of hoopla and fanfare. It was your birthday week. She didn't do birthday month, but she did birthday
Mhm.
week. And like, it was very special. Every year she would go out of her way to like make it dope. And that carried, like, that was my programming for birthdays is growing up. And so I've always felt like that about my birthday until I turned 50. For some reason, when I turned 50, it was like, I don't know. I started thinking about my mortality more and like less in front of me than behind me. And I had never really paid attention to that. It just seemed like life was forever and that was fine and whatever. And yeah, someday, long time in the future, I could possibly die and that's no big deal.
50 is a turning point.
Yeah.
Like you just said, you start thinking about the time you have left and the quality of time and how you want to do it. And it makes it, one thing that's nice I've learned at 55 now, going to 56, it makes it easier to know what you want and say no to people.
Yep.
And be like, this is why. If you don't like it, like, I'm sorry, man. I'm working on what I got left.
Yeah. And so the past couple of years of birthdays have been tough for me. I haven't felt celebrating about them and like excited. And it's weird. It's been weird. And this year, you know, I was just talking last week, I've been feeling awesome in my head and it's birthday time and then now that thing. But I will say that after last week's episode went out, there's a few folks in our circle that have reached out to me and it really like, it helped a lot. And they didn't like do anything other than reach out and say, hey, I heard you were bummed out. And if you need anything, let me know, basically. And it just kind of put into perspective for me, No Simple Road in a different kind of a way. And like, made me feel happy about my birthday this year. So for those of you that did that, you know who you are. Thank you a lot for that. It meant more than you know. You know, you don't, when you reach out to somebody and you hear that they're feeling down or whatever, and you reach out to them, you're like, hey, I heard you were feeling shitty. And it's just a text. And I've done it. You know, you don't really think about the impact that that's going to have. You just want to lend a hand.
Or you do.
And I'll tell you what, man, it's a big deal to have people that care about you.
Stop what they're doing.
Yeah, there's people out there that have nobody. You know what I mean? And so I am going into this birthday feeling really grateful and happy. And I looked it up the other day, and I'm going to do it again now. One of you guys are going to have to talk while I look this up again.
Looking up things.
Yeah.
What you were looking up something regarding birthdays?
Yeah.
Well, and that it's good to hear that too, because like everybody knows, those that reached out, Aaron was kind of down, and it's amazing what just a little silly emojis or anything to reach out and just like, I'm there. And you got a lot of somebody. We all three have a lot of somebodies, and we're very fortunate.
So I looked up like the meaning of the 53rd birthday for numerology, and the 53 vibration is more balanced than its sister 53 or 35. 53 is about taking your power and strength back and becoming full of confidence and joy. You fight for the things you have dear and stand up for your cause. 53 has a considerable drive and talent to go in and add or change aspects of the social structure so that everything gets better and a little more functional in the long run for everybody. So
that's great.
I'm down for 53.
Hell yeah.
That's great.
Taking my power and strength back.
That's
Not
cool.
that I gave it away.
I never looked at that, like as far as numerology. And when it was like, wait, no, I was 54 when I got my surgery. I was thinking if I was 53, that went along great.
Yeah, 54 is all about a new butthole.
Yeah. Look into it. It's a life. It's a game changer, life changer.
We haven't even talked about who's on the show this week.
No, we haven't. It's a super secret, beautiful, wonderful surprise.
Yeah, everybody. We had two separate people send us this week's guest, independent of each other, in the same week, saying, you guys need to have this person on the show. It was Joe, Izzo, and Love from Family Mystic. Both independently sent me text saying, you guys need to have Max Ribner on No Simple Road. And, you know, I like to try and pay attention to synchronicities and
Yeah, if something's asking
signposts
twice,
from the universe.
must be important.
Totally.
Well, and this one was super special too because Max came here to the house, hung out, and we did this in person in the studio. It would have been cool the other way, but Max is such a presence to have him in the studio. He brought his flugelhorn with him, played it, which you're going to hear. This is an amazing conversation.
Yeah, there's people in this world that carry an orbit to themselves. I mean, we all do, but some people's orbit is their pull is strong. And when those kind of people come into your space, you really can feel it. And Max is one of those individuals that carries a gravity with him wherever he goes, and changes the frequency of the room. And we had a really, really intense, amazing conversation with him. I even busted out crying during this at one point. He said something that really got me good. And he's doing some amazing work out there, just bringing people together and helping them work through their ish by using their voices and singing as a community.
And he's helping to work out his by doing that as well.
Well, isn't that the best kind of healing, is when you work on yourself and then it spills over into the world around you?
Just like if you were sick, it spills over into the world around you. If you're healthy, it spills over into the world around you.
Right. And this is definitely somebody that's pulling from the really, really deep parts of himself and doing
it's
stuff.
Intense to be around somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, because if they're constantly bringing heaviness, and I don't mean in a negative way, I just mean
intensity.
Yeah, depth and thought and intention. I think a lot of us feel like we wish we could be that way all the time, but it's quite another thing to be that way all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's transformed. You can see it in his eyes.
You can see it in his eyes. Yep.
And and you'll hear in the conversation too, he's like a conductor, composer of bringing people together in song. It's not just him performing. He goes into communities and gets everybody to come out and sing. He's working on this Resilient Beings album. You can go to @Max Ribner, RIBNER, on Instagram, and maxribner.com.
There'll be a link in the show notes for both.
Yeah, and you got to go check out what he's doing. He's got a lot of stuff up on YouTube too. A lot of amazing videos of his travels around to different communities all over the world.
But if
to
you're
see what he's doing,
if you're nearby, I would highly recommend going to an event, because there's nothing like being at an event like that. You know, you can hear about it and you can see it on YouTube, but the energy of everybody singing together, I mean, it's a really powerful healing modality, to be honest. It is a modality to go to be with others, to help.
It's a different kind of experience to go to something that is participatory rather than spectative. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're not there as a spectator, you're there as a participant, and your voice is
part of the night.
Part of the night, infusing what's happening and creating the magic that's going on. So and you don't have to be a quote unquote singer to go do this. This is for everybody, and that's part of the magic that Max is bringing to these places, is that it's for everybody. But I could sit here and try and explain it to you all night and not do it justice. I would much rather let Max do the thing and tell you about it.
Yeah, that's what we got going on for you.
Follow him, like I was saying. He has no dates up right now that I see, but keep an eye on what he's doing. Like Mel said, if he's anywhere around you, you need to go see.
And I know that on his website there'll be links to, and also on his Instagram, to the Kickstarter. He's raising money for the Resilient Beings album that he's putting together, the work that he's doing. And I highly suggest going over and supporting that and helping him out. And there'll be, like I said, I'll put a link to his website and his Instagram there in the show notes.
Yeah, right now it's 53% of his goal.
Wow.
Dope.
So, yeah.
How much longer does he have? Does it say? Is there a time limit? God, you guys, Apple looks more and more like Santa Claus every day. Everybody.
Especially as it gets closer to December.
Not seeing a time limit.
Okay,
on it.
that's fine. So yeah, that's the thing. We're going to do the business real quick and get you to this conversation with this resilient being, Max Ribner. Follow No Simple Road at No Simple Road on the social media platforms. Go to our website, do website things there, get merch, get a tarot reading, all the things over at nosimpleroad.com. You can go to patreon.com/No Simple Road. That is how you can financially support No Simple Road and help us continue to do the thing that we love doing. And hey, everybody, just a little aside with Patreon. If you are going to sign up on Patreon, you can do it for free and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. If you're going to do it through a browser on your phone or a laptop. Don't use the Apple Patreon app because they're going to start taxing you. Apple is. So like if you signed up for $1 through the app, they're going to charge you 30% for every $1. And it's going to go to Apple because you signed up through their app.
Because they don't have enough money.
Right. And they're going to take it from us. So
I have nothing to do with that, Apple.
Yeah, right. So sign up, go to patreon.com/No Simple Road in a browser or on your laptop. And then that won't happen. You won't have to pay extra and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But we really need your assistance, everybody. No Simple Road. We're going into a new year. We're doing different and new stuff. And we financially need the assistance. So if you could spare $1 a month for us, we would really appreciate you thinking about giving us a little something, buying us a coffee or whatever. You can also
$1 won't buy anything a coffee.
Well, I mean, you get the idea. You could buy us a coffee.
I was
you
just
can
being
give more
realistic.
than $1. You could buy us a coffee.
Portion
$5,
of a coffee.
Whatever.
If you're gonna buy all of us coffee, it's gonna be a $20 bill.
$15, whatever. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We would appreciate it. Hey, it's my birthday today. And if somebody wants to be dope and give me a birthday present out there, leave a review on Apple Podcast.
That's a free gift that would give and keep giving forever.
True.
Yep, we haven't had one since August, so you're going to put big smiles on our faces, whoever does it.
Yeah, somebody out there, give me a birthday present, man. Apple Podcasts, go to reviews. You know how to do the thing. I'm not going to explain it. But hey, you can also call 971-808-1524. That is the No Simple Road tepid line. And we have something from our brother, Eli Paw, this week.
A special birthday.
Yeah, check this out.
Message.
What's up, No Simple Road family? This
What's up,
is your
Eli?
boy Eli from Cincinnati coming to you with a special little birthday treat for boy Aaron, a.k.a. OG Road, a.k.a. Pan.
Was sorry to hear that you were kind of feeling a little down and out
Thanks,
past
buddy.
couple weeks, brother. So
Hopefully this little ditty perks you up a little bit. It is a little something I like to call
birthday boy.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too, buddy. It's very emotional.
Uh-huh.
It's building tension.
Excitement's building in the room.
Yikes. What's going to happen? It's getting real. Oh, hell yeah.
Giddy up.
I love symbols.
Oh. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
How do you get the music music from the inside of my head.
Yeah.
Break it down, Eli. There it is. I knew it.
Oh shit.
Birthday boy, yeah.
He's a birthday boy.
He's a birthday boy, yeah. He's a birthday boy, yeah.
He's a birthday boy.
He's a birthday boy, yeah.
Happy birthday, my Sagittarian king.
You can do
Anything.
Oh
Yeah.
man, fucking love you, man. That was dope.
You just blew Leonard
birthday
Cohen out of the
boy.
water.
Yeah. Wow.
How can we sing Happy Birthday after that?
You can't. We're just gonna play that while
that
I blow out the candles
replaces
tomorrow.
that replaces the old dirge of Happy Birthday.
I was thinking we were gonna do Feliz Cumpleaños this year,
No.
but
He's a birthday boy. He's the birthday
You can do
boy.
anything you want.
Wow. Eli,
that was so
Hell
sweet.
yeah.
everybody give it up for Eli. Eli is from an amazing band called Mind at Large. Go check them out. Give them a listen. And
Send Eli some love. He can always use it.
that's right. Thank you, brother. That is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. It's stuff like that.
That reminds us
so
of why
fucking
we
grateful,
do
man.
what we do, man.
Yeah, it's really dope.
I was
And,
listening to last week's episode, and that's what I was talking about. The
Anyway.
Nathaniels, the Elis,
Mhm.
the Karinas, the
Yeah.
Chris's,
Yeah.
all
That's
of
the
it.
shit that
The loves
stays
and
with
the
you
maxes.
forever, and
That's
you can't
soul
put. There's not a
Mhm.
dollar amount on any of that.
No.
That's just fucking
No.
riches beyond.
Look at all those people that had that money, and they're all nasty now with those freak off parties and stuff.
Gross.
They ain't got-
Exactly.
Eli ain't sending fucking P. Diddy or nobody no birthdays.
No.
No, I got
Fuck
the
that.
birthday song this year.
So-
Woo.
All right, so yeah, go
Go, go.
go do the thing. We're gonna get to the interview with Max. Everybody, throw him a follow. Like I said, links to his Kickstarter and his website and his Instagram will be in the show notes. Do the following thing. If he comes through your city or your town, go participate with Max. And
And thank you so much one last time to Love and Joe for helping
Yeah.
Yeah.
facilitate this and make it happen. We love you guys.
love y'all. Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you
Max Ribner.
So Max, I'm gonna take notes, but
She's paying attention.
don't
I
worry.
swear.
Don't worry about me. I'm in it. Okay,
And-
I'm in it.
I'm in it. We're in
And
it.
she does known to do portraits.
you got to
sometimes.
show him some of your
And then
portraits.
after the fact.
after.
Okay.
Are you like channeling the energy of this moment through?
Wow, I hadn't
mean,
thought of that. Honestly.
That's kind of
Yeah.
a great way to describe it. What it first started out as was very not spiritual or great or any kind of way. It was like Aaron and Apple have been friends for 40 years. That includes they've done everything together. So like I'm musically, I don't know the stuff that they know. So I had to catch up on these people's names and what bands they were on. And so I just started to keep notes. And also if they said cool stuff or if I wanted to go back to it, because you don't want to break up a flow. If you're saying something awesome, but you said something like Blue Mercury, and I'm like, oh, I want to ask him about that. So I would just write it in, right? Well, then it becomes a collage of like the show, a miniature self-portrait, notes. And
keeping track of all the recommendations.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Like, Mel, did you get that one?
Yeah.
We got to listen to them.
Yeah.
This too.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
play it right on the mic, but you can probably hear it in the background.
Hell yeah.
That's
called a flugelhorn.
Really
which is
cool
a little
looking.
bit softer than the trumpet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That does have it has a
That's like
beautiful
right-
sound, almost like a trumpet with
It's
a
more
mute
throaty.
kind of.
That's beautiful.
That feels like transportive.
Yeah, I could play some at the end too.
Yeah.
Where you guys could use it as like however we do. Do
And
you
that-
ever have undercurrents of music through the talking or no?
Occasionally,
More
If
through the
it's-
commercials and
but
Oh, yeah.
if you listen to older episodes, the whole beginning of the show had a music bed,
Yeah.
and we were doing it for so long that I'm like,
because we have a lot of jam
I gotta
bands on. So
stop.
if you put on a jam band, that's a long time. But it was
Right,
usually
right.
just one song most
yeah,
of
but
the
it was
time.
that like downbeat dubstep weird trippy thing. Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
it was,
yeah.
and it would go on forever. And somebody said something to me about it. It was like, hey, have you ever thought about just talking and not having the music? And I was like, oh, I could do that. And then I did. I think it might have been Jason, actually.
We learned a lot through
Yeah,
this 8 years because
I'm recording, by the way, so just so you know.
Started.
Full
well,
disclosure.
so hey,
Or maybe
everybody,
we start with like a clap. You know,
Yeah.
we're at home and we happen to have a special guest.
Yeah, let's do it. Ready?
One,
Right,
two,
two, three.
There.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
We're
here.
back.
Official.
Hi.
Okay, like I said a moment ago, we're back, and
Introduce
in
our
studio
guest.
we have the wonderful, the only Max Ribner.
Wait,
Hey.
Yeah, woo!
that's cheesy.
We like
So
being
Max,
cheesy.
Yes. Welcome.
welcome to the studio. Welcome to our life. Now
Yeah.
we are glad you're in it, and that's all I got to say. Done.
For folks that are listening, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself? Just like
Okay, like,
the,
yeah,
the
right?
Yeah.
bullet points.
The who?
First, thank you for this day. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for the gifts you bring. That's usually how we start our
I love that.
musical experiences in all aspects of the world. I also want to say thank you for this land and the original stewarders of music as well, Black American music as well, classical jazz, and everything in between. And I wouldn't be sitting here without that. You know, the stories of the four elements of nature, how that interconnects to the conversation of the muse, right, and music. So just first wanted to say thank you to all those pieces that brought me and us to this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to acknowledge what got us here and why we're doing what we're doing.
And to have gratitude for it verbally, outwardly.
Yeah, you know, I notice if we have that first moment of gratitude, this whole episode, our whole day can shift. I've noticed in this singular body, if
You're
I
right.
don't do that in the day, my whole something's off. But if I get that one moment to the sunrise, to the sunset, boom, my whole day is shifted. Right.
Like affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a frequency thing. It's for sure a frequency thing. Like, we're energetic beings that are vibrating at a certain frequency, and that frequency of gratitude shifts your consciousness to see differently.
Exactly. And when we commune like this and have conversations, the way I think about it is we're actually going down a trail, right? We're walking down this trail, and you'll notice like our brains could go right to polarity, to the contraction of politics right now. to the contraction of the flooding, which maybe it will go there, and also what I've noticed when we start with that gratitude, it unites our hearts. And that's a clarity that I received ironically through grief. And that's when y'all mention Ian Love, who also connected us, threaded us here. That's something that's been really present on every musical experience. Like if we can point to the center, then we all get seen. And so that's something I wanted to just share in this moment of the really deep clarity of keeping music circular.
So can you explain that for us and for those listening? Like, I understand what you're saying, but I want to understand the mechanics of it.
Yes, totally. And I want to mention no simple road, right? I really align with those words because hearing you all talk about your trials and your tribulations, what I'm feeling now at this point in life is that all of our lanes, even if they're different or even if there's privilege, right, there's still this thread of connection through tears, through trials and tribulations. And so in 2020, it went through, do y'all know those moments where all your pillars fall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say, if I was to ever host a podcast, I think this would be part of the theme, is how all of our pillars falling connects us back to truth and to like, oh, actually this connected me here and this connected me here. And right, for me, it's like, I don't wish any harm for anyone. I want us to see us thrive and be in our shine. And I think it's inevitable that we're going to go through these moments of loss and change, like the leaves changing right now. You could say to the tree, like, I want you to stay orange right now, but we couldn't appreciate the life and the death and the love of that, right? Thich Nhat Hanh, a beautiful mindfulness coach, talks about that. So you asked about circularity, right? Yeah. So in 2020, all my pillars fell. The band I was touring with, there was some friction there and those pillars started to fall. I can share more about that soon. A partnership of 8 years was crumbling, and we're still in beautiful transformational conversations, because I'm a believer in that. Even through friction, like we can always come back, hopefully through love and forgiveness. And then I thought my dad was transitioning at the same time, and so I'm like, my palms are open. I'm like, universe, you're gonna take it all away from me right now? And this is 2020, right? And so Portland's contracting, and I understand people were afraid to hug, so I literally had to do this. People listening, I was like shaking and holding myself. And it feels relevant to share because I know there's people right now holding on by threads. And it feels so important now, after walking through some years of what I call wretched beauty, holding the palm of wretchedness and holding the palm of beauty, right? Not pushing away and not numbing and saying, okay, like I'm in this. And that's what I had to do through 2020, 21, 22, 23. And so now, present moment, I've been in 150 houses, 150 different rooms in those 3.5 years, committing to loss, committing to the moment. And so that's what led me to the circularity, to the people, because something in my body was saying, don't give up on life. You need to get out in the world, get your horn. You got vinyls, you got first language. Anyone listening, first language is how we're all connected through that, our first language of music. Yes. You mentioned the Grateful Dead. We can listen to a song. We're like, oh my God, I am so connected right now. It's cathartic, right? Easier to say in the words, but when you're in the room with a synergized group of musicians, which now I think is all of us, the people. Yeah. So when you asked about that at all these events now, which I'm calling, it's under my name, Max Ribner, with Resilient Beings. We are resilient beings, birthed out of that pain. And so this is so classic to share, but I got this clarity to take the musicians off the stage and bring us right here to the center. So everyone becomes the orchestra. So the band is still there, but people start realizing, I see your guys' eyes right now. Yeah. And everyone becomes, oh, wow, I'm a part of this. And so, yes, there's still orchestrations. Yes, there's still music. Yes, artists still can get their shine or get that guitar solo, or a dancer. I love featuring artists, and I love to try to bring diversity in and feature that just everyone's gifts if I can. We'd be there for millions of hours if so, but you know what I mean? Singing thank you for this day and this song, thank you music, really simple mantras. So long story short, going through loss, trials, tribulations led to get on the ground with the people and free these songs.
Wow.
Free them.
Okay.
Where were they locked up?
Great question. And I think this question is a beautiful question for all of us, is what is locked inside of our soul, right? So in that journey with me with 8-year union, someone could have just said, hey, poor fellow, but in another forum, I actually posted on Instagram of my journey, because here I am dreaming this record in, which for me, a record actually isn't just a record. It's an intention.
Like a transmission.
Yeah. It's a transmission. For me, it's a prayer. I think prayer can be universal. It can just be in like sharing love in the world, sharing journey. In this case, it was like sharing loss and love.
Yeah.
And so there's this video online called First Language Raw Live Improvised 2019, right before 2020. And you can feel it in the room. There's a gospel choir, Saida right there, a beautiful gospel singer, and they start crying and it ripples to the strings. And they start crying, and then I lose it. My brother comes in the piano line. And so what I start hearing is that music is a journey. It's all about this journey. And so I had to kind of go through this crumbling of like, here's an artist, you're trying to get your following, or seeing the Western music industry and playing Red Rocks in front of 10,000 people and feeling numb. And I was staying clean the whole time.
Yeah.
One of the gifts, I think, of just having a super sensitive body, like going in those worlds for a minute, and my body just freaking out and being like, hey, keep your body clean, because when you're in music, you're already in it. But the hard part for me is that our feet never touched the ground when we were touring. So I started to realize, you know what? And I think you'll hear this story more and more with artists of, I'm not saying I'm like U2 or anything, by the way. But I've gotten to
do the same thing U2 does.
All good.
Support role.
But you know what I mean, Max?
Yeah.
You do the same thing. You are, and you're not. Do you know what I mean by that?
I do it. Yeah. Thank you.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going.
You were
feet on the ground.
That you did never have your feet on the ground when you're touring. You said that you think we're going to start hearing a lot of artists say
more and more of that. This is an emptiness, and
we have.
Yes, and there's something a little off. And so I started to go down this path through loss of like, oh wow, of course, because you're not getting to connect with these people on a long-term basis. So I'm going to plant this seed right here of three words called relationship-based art, right? RBA. I just kind of made that up in the moment.
I like it.
But
that's what No Simple Road is.
Yeah, so we're a part of that now. We're a part of like if you all come to this experience, or we have more moments that will remember this piece that we're all intrinsically connected, right? And so I feel like if I get to this point where I'm above or below somebody, or I can't talk to somebody, that's for me when I need to like put down my instrument and recheck myself and come back to that newborn of like, hey, yo, remember why you picked up this instrument. Remember that, because right, if you get in front of yourself, I think in anything, and this clarity's been coming in strong, like stay with your art, stay with your center, stay with the people. You know what Victor Wooten says, if somebody puts you above or on a pedestal, like lift them up so they can see higher. And so I really am putting that out as this art is growing, and these experiences from what I've heard at different events and festivals, like, yo, this did something for me that was different. And I think what I'm feeling is that people are realizing that when they become part of the song, they become part of that resilience.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there, man. First of all, I think it's serendipitous that this came out of 2020.
Right.
I've we've had a little bit of distance now from that. And I think that I've said this before, this is nothing new to these guys, that like we all went through something pretty traumatic, being separated from each other, the level of fear that we were operating in, or trying to stand against, depending on where you were. Everywhere. And also then trying to come out of that and just get back to life as we knew it. Things are different. And as people, as a community, we've not processed that trauma as a people. We right into the division of politics and the things and that without ever really like stopping to recognize, hey, we went through something fucking gnarly together and individually. A lot of us, like you're talking about, went through it like an identity shift. My pillars fell, like you said, and there was no time to integrate any of that. It was pick up and go. And I really feel like experiences like what you're talking about are the way through that. Because that's what I've experienced going just to a normal show. I'm finding that there of like, oh, I'm connected to this thing that is everything. It's much larger than me. And in that space, I can let this feeling out that I'm holding on to and start to heal it. And that ripples out. And that's how we can help each other, is by healing what's in here, right?
So we were just talking about experiences, but I'd like to go back to what you said, the RBAs, relationship based. That's why we like, not the only, but it's like close to number one or very, very close second, where we go with our friends. It's these relationships. Exactly. And then changing it, the dynamic, and including the artist instead of creating a distance.
That's it. Yeah. The distance piece, I think, was the grief that I started to feel on touring around the world, where people could say, wow, you guys, you know, you've made it. And then internally being like, well, what does that mean? And I think this roots to probably what, again, Thich Nhat Hanh and
what did it mean?
Teachers. Well, I think
at the time.
Well, I think the friction in this body that felt from that is, what does that mean? I think in some ways we're living and dying in every moment. I look at my screen or our screens and I battle with polarity of there's so much goodness and there's so much darkness. And only 30 years ago, we were looking more into our eyes. And I think that's really important to place here, because like you said, 2020, we haven't been able to really process. Grief needs to be processed and alchemized, right? Same with screens. Our whole generation of kids coming up, they're there. And I raised my hand to this too, by the way, you know, of like being scared to face something at times and being like, okay, I'm going to go check this. Or so we all have those conscious and subconscious patterns of emptiness. And if I can say anything about these 4 years is, wow, the journey of emptiness and the fruits of the darkness when you really lean in. So all of these songs coming through right now, which I like to actually say, kind of cool, are songs, right? So in my physical being, yes, they'll be placed under my name, but really my truth is, and I'm not just saying this to people please, that these are our songs to carry, resilient beings. So all of these songs, even though they've got this light to it, we are resilient beings. Thank you, music. Thank you for this day. The underneath that, the undercurrent of that is walking through wretchedness. No one might know. Literally, I'm at the keys and I'm at the piano in Portland. My body's shaking like 33 days straight. This is March, right when I put this first language out. Literally like this. And then I'd get to the cry. When I was driving over here today, I had this thought of, I know this might sound hokey here, but I actually think the key to massive shift on this planet is our tears. And again, I'm not saying action is important, right? To liberation and freedom within self and our soul and environmentally, all that's going on, right? Even just honoring what's happened here to our indigenous people of this land. There's so many pieces. And can we all like just have a moment here in this round table and we can feel when someone gets into that vulnerability and that tear, it's like our guards start to kind of, it's like a rainforest. Why is this forest so freaking amazing? Even though it's cold sometimes, it's water.
Yeah.
And so I realized in these 4 years, like, dang, my soul needs some water. It was like the desert at times, not even knowing it. You know, I've been connected to my tears a lot of my life. But when I went through that loss, especially through partnership, I actually think now partnership's this big doorway into that soul. And whether it's through death or shift or change or even a rupture, people don't like talking about that word, but that word rupture, I think actually has some meaning of like, actually the universe might be, for example, like I wouldn't be on the ground with these people, like stepping into this power center of like wailing these songs of resilience without going through the rupture.
So when you're in that space, when you're singing these songs with people, what's your job there?
That's a great question. In some ways, I think we have to look at that word job.
There's water too there, Max, for you.
Thank you, water, by the way. And the only reason I'm saying this, thank you, is I personally battled, of course, a lot of us have, with our dynamics with material world.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing the right thing?
We just had a huge talk about this yesterday, actually. Are we doing the right thing?
Am I listening to my heart as I'm putting my energy into right? And I think we can all probably empathize with how many humans right now are just struggling because they're not in alignment with their mission. Right. And so I just kind of wanted to put that in the piece. And so I don't know, I just kind of wanted to speak that because in some ways I feel like it's how do I help conduct this space is the question that I sit with, which it is a job in some ways because we all need that person to conduct the energy. I think a great conductor also knows how to get out of the way.
You're killing me right now.
Absolutely.
Really? Yeah, it's great. It's good shit, man.
Yeah, how to get out of the way. And like literally at times, we have an elder come in. This was in, God, so many stories I could share, but this was somewhere in the middle of the country. Sorry, I forgot. And she's this is a native woman and she's laying this prayer down. I just knew like, just be on the keyboard. Which is ironic because again, back to 2020, I was sitting and praying at the keys, like, okay, like just give me some light. I can't even see any light, or like tell me what I'm going through. Now what's ironic is 4 years later when I'm looking at down at the keys, this is how I kind of conduct and orchestrate is I'll have these meditative keys going sometimes. My brother, Tim Ribner, we grew up playing together. So I kind of fooled around, and then I started to be like, I can comp too and play some chords and triads and inversions, and I love gospel music too. And she just lays down this prayer for like 20 minutes. So I think sometimes conducting also is learning how to literally be right here in this moment. And the hard part of that is to lay your guard down, right?
And know when to give space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally.
Especially if you like to talk.
It's tough.
I'm glad you came back around to that because that's what I was going to say, let you answer first. But that's how watching the videos of you and everything, like you said, you put this music out under your name, but you're definitely a conductor. I see that like you're not even part of it a lot of time. You're just kind of in the background, letting it happen around you and stuff. It's beautiful watching the videos. And especially like the work you've done with, back in, I always say it wrong.
Appalachia.
The Appalachia Mountains and the people back there and stuff.
You guys saw some of those videos?
Oh my God. The history of like their, music is life and everything to them has been there forever, and seeing what you're doing is going in and helping conduct that and bring it together. It's beautiful. And it's a very versed, well done conduction.
Oh wow! It's moved that you all have seen it. I never know who sees these things. You put them out there in the world, and huge shout out to Appalachia, those mountains, also Cherokee Nation, and who's also just wanted to say could use some love with the flooding out there.
Oh yes.
And how ironic, I book a flight back out there, boom, the floods hit. I was literally writing this song called Water Prayer, which I think will be on side B of Resilient Beings. And this came through two waterfalls, sitting by waterfalls. I was actually going to give this chant to what felt like a woman's water chant. It was like, wow, I heard these women singing. Super simple chant. And so we're on this river. This is the French Broad, what they say in that area of that river. There was probably another name for it. And boom, we're out there praying to this water and bringing the elements in, which is important for me in this music. This music is nothing without earth, water, fire, air, every seen and unseen. And definitely a thank you to all the mentors. When I was touring in the road, I had what of the richness. I love that word, because I think sometimes we can get fooled and confused, like, oh, this person is above or below because they have this and that. But if we actually look at that, if question to put right here is like, when's that time you felt the most rich? And that question can put a lot of us in like, oh, actually, it was this moment when I was like watching a sunset with my friends, and like we let it all go, And so those are the moments I look for. If I'm really being true, do I battle with it every day? Of course. I'm like, how am I going to put out First Language or Resilient Beings? And there's no booking and there's no management, right? And the stories I can create. But then I look at this tour up north in Canada with Ian Love. I'm like, the whole community drove the whole thing. Here I am saying this Resilient Beings. Were you going to say, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Check this out. This is so cool. And I hope this happens more. So anyone listening, like, if you want to host or like have ideas, like there's a song called Dreamers, and I just like to say, anyone that wants to dream, like just put it out there. Can't hurt to ask. So I'm at Imagine Festival on Orcas Island. Parangi, who I used to live with, beautiful artist from Brazil, also lives in the Southwest. Tours mostly in non-alcoholic venues. There's with reciprocity music. So there's movements happening with yoga, health, right? Trying to bring addictions back to a place of center, of like music being the forefront. A lot of us know that venues rely on that. So they're bringing this wave of consciousness of like liberation and transformation through music. I love your all's eyes right now. You're like, what is this guy talking about?
No, man.
It's partly that, but not in the way you think. It's like, it's right on time to everything that we've been talking about behind No Simple Road scenes on the show, but also in our personal life.
Okay. Yeah.
And knowing that not only us, but people in general miss being spiritual.
Yes.
And people miss being spiritual together.
And I'll say this, like, there's I can speak for myself. The spiritual community thing has been tainted.
Commodified to the point of that it seems unattractive.
Yeah. And this guy's a shaman and that one's a shaman. And, I drank ayahuasca twice and now I can, whatever, like all the stories that happen that we see through our phones and, and also personal experience of like being involved with this organization or that, or charlatans or people that aren't what they actually seem. And, that, all of that.
Yeah, Aaron, we've
we've been through it.
Well, I'm right there with you.
We've all been through it. I think we can all, right?
And so like your my level of skepticism, I think sometimes can hurt me because it will turn me off. Like I see it and I'm like, oh, not again.
Even if it could help.
Right?
Yeah. I think that word polarity is real, where like in anything, modern day art, the word spirituality, it can lose the prayer so quickly. Our soul, right? How many times our soul knows like, God, I don't think I'm supposed to turn right there because something in my guts, like, right? And that could even be for a medicine. Like, I'll just speak it here to y'all. Like, I'm very resistant to that world because I have received so much goodness from art. And I'll raise my hand that I do have a fear of losing control, which I think a lot of us do. And when I went through that grief journey, it was its own thing.
Right.
So when you learn to love, it's the medicine's right there, I think, in some ways. And also, I just want to speak from stories I've heard of the beauty that plants can hold when you're called to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Like when you feel that and it's not coming from that place of social media or likes and follows and numbers, right? Of just like
pressure.
Is my soul calling to be purified?
But this is the caveat. They're wanting to share their transformation the same way you want to share your music, the same way we want to share our podcast, the same way we want to share pictures of our grandson because we're proud.
Yeah.
And so
he's cute. That's why.
All of these things that are innocent and necessary. I want to hear your song. And now I have to know about it on Instagram. So if you don't talk about it on Instagram, I won't know about it. And so I'm not saying we can't change. I'm saying this is our current state. And I think that things that were once sacred that we would share, like our pictures of our grandson, are now a dime a dozen. And that hurts the overall of sharing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, yeah, I saw so-and-so's grandbaby, my grandbaby, like, I'm using that as a silly example, but I mean that for our most sacred things that we hold dear to our heart.
Yeah. Part of the attraction of being involved in the Grateful Dead community when I found it was the dangerous nature of it. It was other, right? It wasn't mainstream, and it was dangerous. There was darkness and light there, and I could see it, and I knew that I could go into it open, and I was going to have experience, and it was going to be real and a thing. And fast forward 30 years later, I see it at Target, right? Kind of the same thing with the spiritual community thing. Like, if you wanted to know about stuff like that back, you had to search. You had to want it. You had to like go to a bookstore in a weird part of town, and you know what I mean? Like, or know somebody, and
when there was no co-ops kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, but when there was before the age of information, you can't go back to a non-knowing time.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, as a result of that, the mystery part of stuff kind of gets lost, and
a little bit of the sacredness
too.
There was a ritual to that, like going to the psychic eye to look at books and stuff. Man. Back when everything wasn't online and in your face and everything, of like you're saying, those are magical times.
You had to want it,
and it was always weird shopping center like places where the metaphysical bookstores and like Bell Book and Candle down on Charles.
Yeah.
It was always weird, like, but there was a ritual in it of going there, and instead of it just being there, I'll just order this online.
I mean, and I've talked about this here before, and even with something as normal to everybody today as cannabis. It's another example of like, we've normalized it to death. Like the beauty of that plant, the medicinal aspect of it, the healing aspect of it. And then also, like, I remember when you were an outlaw if you did that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that there was something that was, the energy of that was, took you out of the norm, and you were on a different path then, right? And now it's like, people are vaping in the mall, like.
But there's still that beauty. I mean,
No, I'm not saying it's
I know.
gone.
I just had to throw that there's a beauty, because I've been working in the cannabis community since we moved up here in 2016, and I see that double-edged sword with everything.
Right.
There's the side that just gets way too high, is non-productive, and they're just, getting high. And then there's the beautiful gateway that was open to everybody, all these people that are using it for spirituality, for medicinal purposes, elderly people not having to take as many meds because they can use a lotion that comes from a plant. And
to bring it back to music, we've found the same thing through music. There's so much music that is great music, but it's music.
Right.
But then there's folks like you that are
family mystic,
bringing it back.
Yeah.
That are bringing the sacredness back to the thing. It's the holidays time, and at my house, for Hanukkah Istmas, when I was growing up, my mom had a tradition of putting a bunch of candy in our stocking every year, and I think that it's time to update that tradition with the No Simple Road family, and everybody put Melt Premium Mushroom Chocolates in their stockings this
that
year.
would be dope. That's,
Yeah.
I thought your mom.
Couple minis here and there.
I thought you were going to say your mom had a tradition of putting mushroom chocolates
That'd be
in your
dope, but
stocking
no.
when you were a kid. That would explain a lot.
No, man, go follow at Melt Mushrooms on Instagram.
And when you do, you're going to send them a DM and be like, hey, I heard about y'all on No Simple Road. They're going to be like, dope. Send you a menu of the 10 different chocolates that they have, the 3 different gummies, and then the capsules. And like we were just talking about, those little minis for your stocking.
And like we were saying, it is the holiday season. So these, are great for taking care of your head, but for taking care of your friends and family's heads too. Great gifts.
I can tell you that your significant other would absolutely love to find a bar of Melt Mushroom Chocolate in their stocking on Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa Day. All right. That's all I'm saying. So, like we said, go follow them, shoot them a DM, tell them we sent you. And this month you're getting buy one, get one half off. And they even have some tote bags left. You might even get a tote bag with some goodies in it. So go check them out, everybody.
And a big part of that sacredness is, like you're saying, I think, is the inclusion. That's one thing we love about like Family Mystic, what they do, like their Tabor thing. And so they're playing all the time, everywhere, popping up places and stuff. And it's a dance part. It's for the people. Everybody feels like they're part of Family Mystic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going on more.
Similar branches of a tree.
Yeah.
Right. When you kind of find that synergy of inclusivity. Right. And art can be contractive too. Art storytelling, a lot of us know when you hear art, it can like create tension and release.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece too, like I think about creative improvised music too, and what the African American, people must have gone through and continue to go through. And there's this uncomfortability and rawness that I think evokes this energy of how do you say friction? Friction brings life too. Friction brings truth.
Yeah.
And I've been really sitting with that phrase, wretched beauty. I said it before. It's like, how do we hold this palm of, I think of the Lawrence Weller, the 5 Gates of Grief, of the honoring of the, Francis Weller, excuse me. I got to arrange with Ale Blakely, a song, share a song leader in the community and across the country.
You know who told us about Ollie Blakely is Bowl of Stones.
Yeah.
Amy Ringle.
Ringle.
Yeah. And so there's been this thread with Amy Ringle, Michaela Kingslight, Youssoufa Sidibe from Senegal. This is funny because this is the No Simple Road. It's leading us back to that question of up north in the community. We'll get there in a second.
Okay.
But Ale actually has been in deep devotion to helping bring ritual back and the energy of decalcifying grief, right? So with Lawrence Cole and grief ceremonies, I got to arrange in the last few years the non-lyrical piece, the undercurrent of these gates of grief, which in Francis Weller. Lawrence Cole I was mentioning is another elder up north. The gate of initiation. What we love, we too shall lose. Right? Everything we love can bring us to loss. So there's these gates that probably before contact or Western civilization too, there was more ritual. So I feel like kind of all that we're hinting at is bringing life back to that simplicity, right?
Resuscitating it.
Yeah, and the connection of like, wow, stars to the fire, all of us being birthed somehow on this planet, breathing air, seeing green trees, and the miracle of life, right? And again, I'm not saying this of like, if we're having a bad day, we're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes it's hard to see the rainbow. But still, if you keep your eyes on the horizon and perhaps at times off the screen, which can lead us down so many roads, I guarantee you there's going to be one sliver of like, hummingbird, right? Or a friend comes through and is like, yo, how's it going? And in that conversation of saying like, yo, I'm not okay, I think that becomes a doorway in some ways of who knows what all of us are carrying in this room, right? If you talk to me in 2019, I'd be like, yo, I'm fine. I got all my shit together.
Good, man.
Yeah.
And until I went through this initiation, and again, I want to say that I don't know, like I'm not above or below. It's just, this happened to me.
You're allowed to speak on your
This is your story.
brother.
Yeah.
I heard a few whites right here.
You don't have to qualify
This
it.
came after.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it
That's
was like
real.
the tears were like, phew, we're going to give you a few like white hairs on your beard. And definitely was, man, I got to just say I'm so grateful to be alive through that. Like I thought I hit my last thread.
Were you ready to call it?
Yeah, it's vulnerable to share here. And but let's just say towards the 30th day, I was just like, I can't see anything. I could physically see food in front of, right? And it's privileged in so much way of like, I got my food, water, shelter, and I can't even, hard to hold space for people that don't know where that is and to say like, I'm choosing life, right? So yes, I went through that moment of having to choose and that cusp, right? And in that thinnest veil now, I'm like, I wonder actually if that's where our closest place to source might live, right? Because I had to go in and have a conversation with source.
Wow.
All these talks around God or Gaia or people's philosophies and spirit and how do you say this? It was almost like that was the closest moment that I've felt to that place.
Because you're stripped.
Exactly.
You're bare.
Yes.
I've been there.
And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you're I don't want to say pleading, but there's no one else there to talk to but
And there's
Yeah.
you're not looking for a direction at that point. You're just
You let everything else go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I think I'm intuiting that moment. For example, who's that wrote that book, Power of Now? Somebody help me out.
Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle, when there's that moment he shares around the bench and like kind of the last thread, it seemed like, suicidal ideations. And there was a moment in a crossing of like, okay, you can choose this moment. And I think perhaps that's where a presence came in. Right. And I can relate to that. And when I say that, I don't mean like every day since 2020, let's just say in April has been this peak of this mountain. What's cool to say about this is now in the arrangements of Resilient Beings, my spirit is focusing on how to create the peaks and the valleys, to say that this life, this music is a journey. It's not if, but it's when we're going to crumble. And if I could go back in time, I think the one thing I would have wished for is I had more aunties and uncles saying like, yo, you're going to go through it.
Oh,
I can relate to that.
Just
man.
hearing that voice and like, here's some tools, right? everyone kind of just saying like, suck it up. Especially this is a whole dude conversation.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yep. And granted, yes, there's a time to be like really strong like a mountain and to hold your right. And I felt that through the breaking of the shale in some ways, right? These shales of like, okay, everything is shattering in your life, yet listen, right? I heard that voice say, just listen. And that's what led to 150 houses and like getting in a car with a box full of vinyl and a brother in Maui saying like, yo, just get out of that room for a minute and go share this art. And so I'd call up places along the coastline like, hey, can you host us? Like, I got this album. So I'm making this up on the spot. And I had a band for like 16 months. We're touring with this album, First Language. And I'm literally at times in front of crowds and I'm like crying in front of them. This was in, where was this? I'll get back to Imagine. This was Unison Festival. And I'm like, I got Papa Bear energy. I'm looking after 3 other bandmates. They don't know what's happening next week. We're making some of this up.
You're going for it. Yeah.
This was
but they did agree.
This was the No Simple Road moment. And my palms are open. I'm crying. I'm like, we're singing Thank You for This Day. And I'm like, yo, like, we need some help, like if you want to sponsor us, if you know places to go. And so 2 women came out of the crowd afterwards with their eyes clear. And they said, hey, we got an opportunity in Austin for you. Like, come next week. The next day, friends call from Colorado. We had gotten to merge relationship-based art, right? Back to that word. So we had already merged with friends in Colorado. They're like, hey, we want to, gift you $5,000 for all that you're, this new song. So boom, right? This intention gets put out there. Something responds. So that was a moment literally where I'm like, do I fly the band home? I'm trying to look after them, food, water, shelter. We're staying in all these houses. We're like not staying at hotels. So there's a leaning in. So I think this leads back to your question around going up north recently is like, how do we create that leaning in within art where it's not just go, go, go and like numbers or how many social, right? Who has this and who does what? Because I think a lot of us know here and people listening, man, when you can unguard and we can unguard and that family, that place of family, there's some gold in there, right?
It's like you said, the aunties and uncles, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of broken families out there.
Yeah.
I mean, for a various,
right now too. Yeah.
For a various amount of reasons, through death, through separation, through fighting, through whatever, anger, like judgments. I'm dealing with it in mine. Aaron's dealing with it in his. Apple to his own degree, and it's if 3 out of 3, I don't know. I think out there the chances are high where other people out there are missing, like you said, an auntie or a cousin. It's like I'll help you move. I'll take you to wherever you need to go because your car's, messed up. And when you have that relationship-based art, people already want to help because they love you. They love what you're doing. That's why they showed up to your event. That's why they paid the $20. That's why they bought the 2 drinks or bought the cupcake or whatever, the album.
If you think about like what he's talking about with family, relationship-based art and family, what we do in the material world, I got up and went to work every day to provide for my family, right? And so since we are a community that's a family, why wouldn't we also do the same for each other to support, help, and nurture each other in our journey, right?
Yeah.
Like in our art and our podcast and our music and our, all the things. If you have the means to help your brothers and sisters out, then you do that because it's family.
Yeah. That's it right there.
And when you do that, it comes back.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's not even like.
But that's the flow. I mean, that's the circularity and yes.
I think that's the language of the heart. To be honest, it's the knowing of doing the right next thing.
Oh yeah,
so
most definitely.
Instead of how many people can you fit in this room, it's more like, can I be truthful to this art and have the community show up? And then after that moment is also saying like, instead of just leaving, it's being like, well, how can I show up tomorrow? Right? Maybe like, so we were on Salt Spring Island and we stopped and we played at a great grandparents, who's part native to this territory. We just played Thank You for This Day, and like, okay, cool. This is a way we can, instead of just being on our phones, you know, like allow ourselves to be in full service. For example, I was going to be in the Peace Corps in Africa, and I think service is a beautiful word to bring into this circle right here. It's like, yeah, how are we showing up in every day? Maybe it's just for our soul, like y'all were saying at the beginning, like maybe it's my own physical, mental, spiritual health first, right? Because no tree in the forest can provide shade for nature without knowing its roots. Dang, whatever that line was, let's remember that.
Yeah.
Right. So when we can understand,
That was too much to write.
So bear with me here, but when our own soul can know its connection to, right, if I can find my, right, because I thought I was just a horn player playing solos on a stage, or here I am in this beautiful partnership and with the love of my life, and facing my biggest fear of like, what happens if I lose this? Right. And then that journey of, let's just say, the lightning bolt striking and crumbling and taking it all away. Right. That I get to learn, okay, who is this being with nothing? And I'm again intuiting without knowing. That was 3 words I wanted to bring into the beginning. I've forgotten this podcast is I don't know. And I think it's okay to say those words, because we are so addicted as our species in Western culture to know, right? We want to know the answer to that movie, what happened to that person. We want to know the answer of like, why is this happening in my family dynamics? Instead of like, what's my next step right now? Right? And I think that can provide some relief and a breath of like, here it is. Here's the next moment. And so that's been a personal mantra. Here I am in a room with a family sharing stories. Here I am with a native elder, like driving into the sunset, and he's talking about journey of his ancestors, and who's from Standing Rock, Uncle Doug Goodfeather, who's took us under his wing when I was touring, and I've been able to maintain some relationships. And beautiful thing to share about certain elders sometimes is you don't know what initiations they've gone on. You see this, like, for me, I saw this strong, like, bull who seems, he is powerful, but then when you hear him speak, and hopefully I think he's cool with me sharing, just like his trials and tribulations, and, you know, going through loss, and war veteran, and all these pieces that you learn, these phrases that he's saying of your deepest journey is from your mind to your heart. And then be like, oh, that was what he was saying back then. So actually, I'm retracing my steps and saying, actually, I did have a few uncles and aunties. I just were hoping it was a little earlier. And now I feel like in Hawaiian, they say kuleana in Hawaiian. I have the responsibility to speak that into this existence of wherever I step. Every time that we do these events now, I say it somewhere in the middle of the end, like, yo, anyone suffering that's in addictions, just know that you can come home right now through this music. And that feels so great to say. And I think if it wasn't for that moment in 2020, it wouldn't have gotten me to get down literally on the ground at times, and to bring this full forward of like, how do I get this with the people? How do I stay in union with the art? That whatever words just came out of my mouth right there, that felt good. Stay in the union with the art. It's kind of like paddling, you know? Instead of like, once I get to this edge of the lake, then I'm going to get to this here. And so I could track that, right? I still battle with that of like, oh, maybe I should do this or find this big ass investor, which would be great. And putting it out there, anyone wants to invest.
Us too.
Yes.
You know what? And I from a friend in Florida, he says, you know, it only takes one person.
Yep.
So the power of prosperity, the power of oh, wow. I'm getting some juju right now, because I think there's so much negativity around, right? This is good, this is bad. Or we get addicted to characters of like, I don't like this, but I like this. But I'm wondering if we can get more in, or for myself, I see this piece inside of myself and it doesn't feel good, but I'm going to learn to integrate it. right?
Dang.
That's called shadow work.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, that's like a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just said a lot right there. Because not most of the time, if somebody has a strong feeling of dislike or discomfort, they don't want to keep it around.
Move to get away from it.
They're not talking about integration. And that integration makes it seem like you don't have any choice, but it's fine. And now use your brain and your heart to figure it out. It like changes. When you said that, it made it seem like, okay, you have to do this, but it's fine. It's like you have to brush your teeth. There's no, as opposed to feeling fearful or pushing it away or denying its existence.
Well, I have to go back to something that you said too about, being in the room leading song circle and saying if somebody here with addiction is struggling, you can come home now through this music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you understand the gravity of that statement and what that means. But when I met Mel, I was in the throes of like multi-year heroin addiction. And I remember being on the street in Vegas at like 3:00 in the morning. And more than the next hit, I wanted to go home. And there was, wasn't a thing. And if somebody had said that to me, who knows? Do you get what I'm saying? Like the weight of that is really big. And now 20 whatever years later, I can look back and understand what the desire was and what was missing and what I was like yearning hard for, and to give that as a gift, that's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Wait, don't stop these tears, because I think we can quit. Yeah. So can I just ask, like, thank you for sharing your vulnerability, and like for people listening out there, like, is there something like, seems like you started to find yourself or something that happened from going through that, where you were able to, was there a mark where you're like, oh, actually there's something here that I can grab? Go ahead.
It was gradual with me. I was not a one and done epiphany moment.
Right.
It was a slog out of the dark, and in increments, in slow, measured increments. It was Mel.
But it wasn't exclusive me.
No.
Can I just share a few things, because it was gradual, but there was moments of epiphany, like when you stop and you know what I'm saying, like with Simon, with me, there was different times that things brought you back, but with him, it was,
the beast was big.
Yeah, like it was greater than he was willing to tackle at one time. And it came out in spurts over the course of our relationship. There's even stuff.
I think the
recent.
final straw,
not with drugs, but with
the final straw was finding out that Mel was pregnant with our son. And
like
then
new life.
And I was like, that kid did not ask to have a junkie for a dad. I'm done. I'm not doing that. Like that was too far for even me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a slow climb, and I think that Mel represented that home to me, and that was like the beginning of like, oh, I'm not just untethered and free floating in the abyss and can never come back. There's light.
There's gold like on the other side of pain. Yeah. There's gold like living and seeing that there's a palm there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I love when tears come because I feel like actually it opens us to a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice in conversations how it can move quick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, let's stay there for a second.
I love that you did that because I love to cry, and I've had. I laugh, cry. I cry.
She'll
laugh,
just be
cry.
chilling, and then I look over and I'm like, what?
Because memories move me.
Yeah.
And
tears hold memory.
Yes, and I have a special blessing from whatever it is that I had a premonition in my dream about a previous life.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
Of me remembering how it felt to walk down to this river in all black with a hood and crying so hard at the river, and I was one of hundreds of women that were doing it. We were all in black crying. And then when we were done, we would pick up our pail of fresh water and walk back to the village. And
Wow.
I realized that I represented the village's tears and my family's and the earth, and I was a tear representative, and then bringing back the water. And this was during a very powerful girls' weekend in Golden, Colorado. We were talking about gold. And that memory is so much more vivid than any other dream that I've had in my entire life. And I knew that to me, crying was powerful. I knew it. I cried a lot when I was little, and I always got in trouble for it. I always got told to shut up. But I kind of liked it, even though I didn't, it went against what my mother wanted me to do. I liked it, and I liked to express my emotion through that. It felt good, and it felt complete. It felt like you said that word earlier. How am I going to transmute this or integrate, right?
I see this in myself. I see you and me, and how am I going to integrate that, right? That shadow or something maybe our dad was carrying, or down our ancestors, right? Like in my bloodline, there was slave owners, and it's no brick to carry. If you think about it, if there's been no one down that line that's cried, what are those two sides when we have that theme of polarity? Sorry, that sometimes my words,
the yin and yang.
The yin and yang, or you have the
Ida and
oppressor,
the Pingala?
oppressor and the oppressed. And so down that lineage, right? Or there's these two lanes, right? And from the stories that I've heard, that it takes some of us to be the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Be the ones that can help shed those tears for.
You can break the energy of the thing,
the ice
by doing
the unshed tears.
It's the ice, and this really brings me right to LA, right? LA Blakely and these others that are helping. There's these people that are literally devoting their life to help others break the ice of those long lost tears. This is especially important to bring in with men as well, those that identify in that, because that key of strength and holding vulnerability, I think actually is going to be part of our gateway, right, to helping this balance that could be happening, perhaps just putting some kind of hope. I don't know if y'all can resonate, but you look at your phone, and it's like the world feels like it's collapsing. You see the same crap on there, and polarity. And again, I want to honor that by saying the importance of doing maybe the right thing that's for each soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But with that, there is something to be said about our souls calling for authentic connection, where we can have spaces like this. You asked about why circular, because I think and I feel when we're circular, It allows story to emerge. Maybe someone does bring a plant in, but other times maybe it's music. Maybe it's just the language of our voice.
Maybe it's tears.
Maybe it's tears. And I don't know if y'all notice, one person starts opening, boom, the next one comes.
Everybody gets permission.
And the trail that we were creating with our conversation leads back to that water idea, right? That dream that you had, I think, correlates to literally there's times in societies where there's people that are helping these gates of grief and these tears. And there's a lot of teachers that, like you were saying before, it's interesting, right? Because when we say those word mentors, sometimes you're like, wow, they've got a shadow. And then you're like, you put your faith in something outside of yourself, and then you can feel that like brokenness again. And that correlates to something here is like, wow, if I can hold my reverence or the reverence, I kind of like to say these are not just my tears. These are our tears too. You know, this is a long line of beauty and damage, you know, and, or even, you know, my dad's Jewish and like holding space for that and the trauma down that line. In so many ways, I'll just be open in this space and say that a lot of times I kind of just disassociate because I don't even know how to connect to that or ancestry or maybe shame or guilt, right? Those words of shame and guilt are very interesting. And one thing I've been practicing, influence from Thich Nhat Hanh, is welcoming it in. Like, as much light as I might be speaking here, there's so much shame too that can come underneath of like, I'll just share with y'all, this vulnerable to share, but this like goes through my mind, like, you're definitely not worthy. This is my mind going off.
Right.
Like, you're an artist. You're about to turn 40. You haven't done this, you know, shame
What's
around.
this?
This, that, or the other thing.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and I'll call myself in on this, is that this is just a story that I've created that I haven't at times been able to see or even soak in, receive gratitude of people coming up and be like, this experience was so life-changing. And I think sometimes I have a sadness of like getting so close to a community and then realizing, wow, I'm going to go share this to another community. And there's a grief that hits me of like, I don't know where my home is. So the last 3.5 years I've been in all these homes. And by the way, I say this also with gratitude because I've been so freaking blessed by these meals, these stories, the laughter, the tears, driving at the wheel and like having the guitar player like, just keep breathing, brother, you know, like just drowning in tears and like, oh, just processing. And I think there's something to be said here about our processing is ancient. I just want to put that out there. Like, processing sometimes might just be for like our newborn that never got to be held, or maybe the father we didn't have, or the mother we didn't have, or maybe it was 2 generations back, you know, where like there was something that was just so constrained.
You're talking about things that people are largely disconnected to.
Epigenetic.
Yeah. That's not something, at least even I'm, you know, that was natural language. I had to go seek those things out. These are like, you know, alternative thoughts, but I think a lot of people are hurting on behalf of others, not just their families, not just themselves, not just their children, but like their friends, their community, their cities, their countries, their leaders. Like, they're sad. And because it's kind of like what you were saying about not being able to accept when people are, you know, even saying some wonderful things to you, like you kind of like with the crying, like kind of like brush it off so you don't have to really truly feel it, or you don't have the time to, or, you know, I feel like we rush through the most important moments and then we savor the really unpleasant ones for longer than we need to. And they can last just as long as each other or not. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have a savory moment for hours or a shitty one for 2 seconds. And really your mindset, clearly your circumstances dictate that as well, but your mindset can really get you through anything. And I think it resonates with that word, the resilience that you are talking about.
Resilient beings.
If you're helping yourself to cultivate mental resilience, even just having it as a goal or something to look toward, that just helps your brain. It helps your chances. It helps luck. It helps, you're putting out a beacon. And so I think that a lot of what you're saying is so right on time, Max. And it's, I like how you've taken ownership about it. I've never really heard too many people take ownership or responsibility for doing what you're doing. We have 400 plus episodes of musicians and artists and awesome thinkers and authors and super cool, progressive, forward-thinking people and doing awesome things. But what you're saying and doing is not, it's the most thing that's needed and it's the least thing that's happening. And I just applaud you for bringing that to us, like in our home, to like talk about this, to hear about this.
And it's starting to happen more. I just experienced this with my dad when I was just down in Vegas for a cousin's wedding, but hanging out with my dad. My dad's been one of those that he's of that generation. He's in his early 80s. That generation. He always kind of prided himself on not crying. There's a lot of that gets passed down. And one night we're sitting there and he was all teary eyed and he has eye issues and stuff. And he was crying. He said, he told me, he's all, I find myself recently, like in the last year, crying more and more. He's on, not out of sadness. I find myself like crying for the world. Like hearing this from my dad. My dad's not a type that says stuff like that. This is not like, and he's like, the other night I found myself crying for grandpa, my grandpa on my mom's side, who was very close to him, my dad too. But he's like, I was crying for grandpa. And I was like, what do you mean? Like you miss him? And he's like, no, I was crying for him because he couldn't either.
Oh, wow.
And that did, from coming from my dad, that hit me. Yeah. To hear that from him, it filled me with tears of joy. All of a sudden, these tears of joy came to me because
your dad said that.
Yeah, it's like I felt like going, holy shit, Dad, you found the fucking like greatness of crying. It doesn't have to be. So many people put a shield up to that. Like they think of it as a weakness is one of the things like he thought.
Yeah, but that's like generational work. Dude.
Yeah. That's coming from his parents, grandparents who kind of taught that of like you were saying, like family with history of like slave owner. Nobody ever cried through that
of the
oppressor, but we're still here and connected to that. And that's what I saw in my dad, which touched me. I was raised by my mom and sister a lot, so and I'm thankful for that because crying was very accepted and almost encouraged in my household. Like you let that out, and we sit here and we laugh and joy and sadness, everything, and it's just you talking about the tear. I believe it is very, very healing for not just the individual, but I mean that to me it's seeping over to him. Right. With this world of more and more people crying, other people come into mind, like somebody I used to work with, Miss Hard Ass. Like I don't cry, and then after years of working with, I always made sure to hug her because she's not a huggy person. And I've known several people like this that are like I'm not touchy, and it's like, well, I'm gonna give you a hug because you need it.
Yeah,
you're and then seeing the same thing with her breaking down and crying to me after time.
Yeah,
and it was like, this is beautiful. Don't you feel? Yeah, and immediately doing that, like when Aaron started to tear up, we're programmed almost to be like, I'm sorry, let me pull my shit together. And it's like, no, lean into that, let it go, because you don't realize how important that is and how good it's going to make you feel when you do that. And it's funny, like we were talking about the podcast. Like just recently, I didn't know who you were weeks ago.
Same here.
All of a sudden, this just came in, and we used to me and Mel used to do that. We used to question more when we'd get a guest, because Aaron sets a lot of the booking and stuff, and we would question like why are we doing that? I liked it, but don't question that anymore. None of us do, including Aaron. The stuff that comes to us through however it does, it's right. It's going to be like you coming here tonight was supposed to be. There's no question in it. It's just like, it's like Max is coming over tonight. We're going to get to know him.
Go Dar.
Do we have a dog interlude?
Yes, Darwin has come in to.
This is good. We needed some joy in the room.
Yeah, yes.
Well,
Good boy.
Thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to share, I think it's scientifically proven too that how our tears can store memory. There's like a chemical release. And I mean, even these dogs right here, they know it, you know, the animals that are.
He felt what was going on down here and was like,
I could
you hear
Dar,
him
go lay down.
Come on, Dar.
I could totally hear him
pacing.
Like, I could hear him pacing, but I could feel it.
The nails.
I could feel the.
Hi.
What a good boy.
You know what's a perfect segue is because I actually think our joy is on the same coin. You hear that the same coin is the tears. And so right on the other side, there's this line in Resilient Beings. I can't wait to put this track out in the world. It's pretty long, but it's a journey. There's gold on the other side of pain, right? And so the way I think of that's like kind of bow and arrow. Our life is pulling back memory and experience, and then if we choose or when we love, we're gonna break at some point, whether that's our last breath or this moment, and then there can be this release, right? And so I'm journeying with this beloved feminine. I also want to say thank you to the feminine because we are nothing without women and where we're born from. And I wanted to say that in the beginning because it's so important, especially for me being white male, and the position I'm in is just to honor feminine. And also, I think just this energy of, I was talking about it with Ian Love when we were touring up in Canada, like, man, we just need more women at the center because you probably have more to share about this than I do, but there's an unseen holding that I felt with Resilient Beings, where literally in the room in Appalachia and Asheville, where these blessed be, these sisters just holding this energy, this dream that's coming through me, like we are resilient beings, we're powerful, and we'd be cooking food and sharing and crying, and I'm like, we're right on that river that had flooded later, and we're dreaming these songs into existence. And I think I just wanted to come in because feminine for me is also great mystery. It's the we hold these pillars of a mountain so that the waters can move. I think it's actually inside all of us in so many ways, right? We can get just right, even just the way I viewed masculine was very uptight in so many ways, from TV shows and my body trying to like fight and focus and like shave my head, or like, oh, your hair can't curl like that, and now I'm like getting more expressive and like going to dances and like, oh, this is nice, and like there's these parts of ourself that one thing I've been focusing on now is how do we hold pillars within ourself, our sovereignty, allowing those waters to move through us, no matter our, gender, binary and non-binary, and that's a whole other conversation that I think is important, to just make sure that we're opening to the shifts in our language, right, and through colonization, and opening back to also this language of the heart, which from hearing my mom's getting more into like elderhood and openly, positively speaking about it, the importance of that. And she's talking about storms coming and shifts and then holding space for that. And we both have this fear with that, right? We're seeing it more of like, wow, like landscape, we can be in this home and boom, you just never know. And it's like, I feel that with the families out in Asheville. Just want to give a plug too for anyone listening. If you want to support, there's a show in Portland that myself, Serotonin, Shireen, Ian Love, Alexa Lux will be at the 7th at the historic Alberta House. And if you have just love and support, or even abundance to support the families out there, because there's people still without power and water, and people that have lost homes. You can also just follow Rising Appalachia, a group I've sat in with a bunch. We've done a track together. Have you heard of them?
Rising Appalachia. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of
them not too long ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We've done some yoga classes with them recently in Asheville, and it's kind of cool that you can hear the dog in the background. It's like, people are like, "Oh, you're home with us."
They know
Yeah,
Darwin.
especially with Appalachia, it's like, "Oh, we're at the home cooking."
Yeah.
That's what I love too. But just wanted to speak that to people holding on by a thread. We have this podcast, but just remembering that and remembering when we can share to share.
Yeah.
And I speak that as well. If however I can be a tool and a vessel through this art.
How can people support this and where can they go to find out stuff and all that?
Yeah. And so there's two things for Asheville and Appalachia. You can go, the easiest thing is go to Rising Appalachia, and they'll have links like Beloved Asheville and people building tiny homes for people that have lost homes. Many others, people helping mothers and just getting food in the ground. And then the second piece is anyone influenced from this journey that I've spoke of with resilient beings, you can support by just finding me on Instagram or maxribner.com, MAXRIBNER. And you'll see this really cool 3-minute video. I don't know if you saw that, of us walking through this doorway. I had this clear vision of like, you gotta record this music with the people. And so 60 of us walked through this doorway. You might have noticed on that vinyl here with First Language, there's like a lot of people and part of.
Yeah, on the back, the list of musicians that you've played with is astounding.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's crew from like Snarky Puppy and members of Prince and all of that. And I mean, beyond the names, there's just a lot of love and artistry. And so I definitely have a dreamer inside my head where if there's a big dream coming in, like, get out of the way, it's coming. And so Asheville, when I landed there, I was living in New Orleans in a primarily all Black neighborhood, which was good for me too, just to have that experience and to feel the belly button of where creative improvised music is, especially playing the horn. I hadn't played a horn line. I should play a few lines for you guys.
Yeah, please.
So I went up to Asheville and then had this clarity of like, let's walk through the doorway. And so you'll see a video on there on my website. It's amazing, like these people that just came in and learned these. I like taught them all the songs. So we had like a 40-person choir, 2 strings, 2 horns, rhythm section, West African dancer, West African drummer, about 60 of us. And we're feeding all these people and then leading up to it. And then we got in this space and recorded 600 minutes of music over 4 days or so. And one of the days was like the main one. Speaking of tears, people sung this song, Thank You for This Day. They were all singing, Thank You for This Day. And I hadn't had a song sung back to me like that before. I'm in the studio, I'm like navigating, I'm making sure the engineers are, this was classic, like felt like Portlandia in some ways where, I don't know, it was just like, you had these engineers and they're like, mics are going up. Then you had these goddesses over here, like decking out the altar space and like clearing energy and like lighting candles and like smudging the room. And I'm like, part of my heart was like, okay, this is awesome. Then I'm like checking in with the engineers, like, is this okay? I was like, did you all
talk about duality, right?
Yeah, I was like, has this ever happened? They're like, no, this has never happened like this. But meanwhile, the day we recorded, they sung this song, Thank You for This Day. I'll play the melody and the horn.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the dog likes it.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Darn.
Oh, are you singing with us?
Come on.
Yeah, So Thank You for This Day. They're singing it to me.
It's pretty incredible. Like,
Yeah.
you can just whip that out and then be like, so then,
Anyway,
she was.
yeah. That melody came through Big Island. Shout out to Hawaii. And so I lost it because I'm dreaming and I'm praying this vision in, our vision, I like to say. And all this time I'm kind of pushing throughout these years of like, okay, maybe go through Colorado, New Mexico, and California, navigating the band for 16 months, that whole journey of learning how to, and then crying at the wheel for all those years, and the tears moving me to the South and New Orleans, beautiful friends in Appalachia and Rising Appalachia. And it was this moment of like, yo, pause, breathe this in. Yeah. You guys have been singing, and you, brother, this is me, you've been singing this song and teaching it to like thousands of people. Receive this moment, power of receiving, right? And so I just lost it.
You got a taste of your own medicine.
This was it. And I secretly hope everyone that has a vision or a dream, whether it's a song or a painting or has that happen to them. I don't know what the analogy would be with the podcast, but you know what I mean? Where it's like a reflection happens. You're like, oh, wow. You know, because you think about those moments where you're building something or.
You're a reflection of that.
Really?
Max.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that our No Simple Road family requested you to be here is a reflection of that they saw fit that you are the person that we needed to meet right now within a
cool
2-week span for you to share what you're sharing.
I think you'll probably understand this, like, as a person that is an artist and bringing in something. The thing that you're creating, sometimes when you're doing it right, in my opinion, it starts to work on its own, independent of you. It'll start doing
its own thing.
Stuff. And No Simple Road is really like that. It brings stuff to us that we need.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying to him when you were bringing Darwin down. It's how me and Mel used to be like, not negative or anything, but like, why are you booking this person? And we don't, none of us do that anymore. Even you, when something comes, it's like,
trust.
As I told him, like tonight, it's like, Max is going to be here because we're supposed to meet Max, and that's the next step in the story and the journey. And
I knew, like, just from Joe's way that he said it, that it was going to be dope.
Yeah.
And then when we talked to Ian last night, his reaction to hearing you were coming, I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing.
You could just feel it, huh?
Oh, I got that, like,
the heart,
the
belly.
Yeah, he actually said,
oh my gosh.
I hope he's okay with me saying
of course he would be. He
actually
beautiful.
said that you changed the way that he approaches music. Period.
Dang, that gives me
and
some
shares
heartstrings.
Music. He said shares.
Yeah.
Approaches and shares music.
Yeah. And that I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good.
This is supposed to happen.
Wow, man, that gives me some heart antennas for sure, of like seeing what feels like a younger. I mean, we're all he's a teacher for me. You guys are teaching. Like, we're all, the dog's a teacher. You know,
totally
divine love. But yeah, that's funny. It finally wraps up around with that tour to Canada. You know, I really got to see him blossom. He loved Covington, and we have a similar way of seeing. When I say we, there's many of us.
Yeah.
Amy Ringle.
Shout out, Amy. We love you so much.
Yes. Michaela Kingslight, Samara Jade, Ale Blakely, Lawrence Cole, Shireen Amini, many others, of seeing music in circularity.
I had never experienced real deep song circle.
Really?
We were when I met Mel, she was going to like a Foursquare Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
Where
I started going once we got together and became.
You can't tell me you never felt the spirit in
wait
there.
Wait a minute.
I just want to
back up, sister.
I'm backing up.
I saw the look on her face. I was like, you better explain some more.
I ended up being a worship leader there.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there were times when like it was happening.
Yeah.
Like you could feel it. But for me, it was always some shit in the stew. It just something didn't sit right with me.
Sounds like a song name.
Yeah, some shit in the stew. And so when we went to fair, not this year but last year.
Yeah, I've been in the last 4 of those 2 or so.
Amy was leading Song Circle with her group of folks, and we went in the morning, and I was like, "Oh, this is worship."
She invited us.
This is worship for real.
We had no idea what we were going into. We happened to stumble upon the beautiful Amy Ringle.
She was camped right next to us.
Yeah, literally, like Apple and her tent were back to back, and she was like, oh, well, what are you doing in the morning? I lead this thing. Cool, let's go. I mean, we were bawling. We didn't even understand like what we were, like I said, preparing our day. When you're talking about gratitude, starting your day with gratitude.
Yeah, man.
You start your day with the song circle.
Yeah.
That charges your battery like no other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Jumping in water.
And the only reason I give Aaron a little bit of crap at all is because, you know, Christianity, religion, all of them, they all have their merits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to the seeker, the person that's going to those religions or to that spirituality, how it affects them. It's there to be had. It can be under any umbrella you want, and you can dress how you want. You can sing how you want. It's there. And they're doing it. The Christians that are believing with their full heart and they are in a place of love and gratitude or desperation or last resort or just a longing, they're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
The same way the person that's going to one of your beautiful song circles, they're connecting.
It was the thing for me was like, there was no window dressing. It was just people. There was no anything. It was just us and our voices and the power of us being together singing. That was it. And there was no like, you know, we're worshiping this thing outside of ourselves and none of that. It was just voices happening. And that was the first time I was like, oh, this is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
All
right. Well, everybody.
Max,
was that the journey?
That was
what's the last
yeah.
thing that's so rad about you that you want to share with everybody that you haven't shared yet?
Dang.
No skipping.
Wow. That's like so rad. It's like, this is the moment just like fully being the ego.
Yeah, go for it. Do it.
God.
P.S. He's got the dopest shoes on right now. Just FYI.
I just thought that it was like your boot. I
you
saw your
can't
boots when you
choose
came
that.
up. Was
Okay.
like those boots are awesome.
that.
No,
Thank
you know
you.
why I say it like that? Because I feel like sometimes people don't give themselves enough credit. And I'm not talking about ego credit. I'm talking about you literally learned that thing, went out and did it, performed it. Other people liked it. They gave you money for it. And you felt good afterwards. Like that's...
Yeah.
That's a circle if I've ever heard one.
Mm-hmm.
Give and receive.
Yeah. So you've done that with more than just one thing in your life.
Yeah,
and
it's like say what makes you feel better about yourself.
So yeah. So what's the rad thing that we want that we don't know yet?
Well, I'm going to segue from you.
Thank
you for that. Cause these shoes, shout out to Mana Tread Like Gear, who hand makes moccasins. She designed this piece that has a palm. And there's mountains on the left and there's lightning bolts. And I think what's coming through is one of my gifts is to be in the journey and to speak that journey and let the journey be in the melody. And resilience has definitely been birthed through this body. And I know and have faith that it lives in all of us and humanity. And I think one of my gifts is to not give up on that. Even if it hurts, even if I'm wrong, or even if there's conflict, or even if, you know what I mean? Like, it takes certain, you guys know a fire, right? If the charcoal is moist, it's like, fuck, you know, like all your shit stuff. You know what I mean? It's like camping in the Northwest.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And it takes a certain, how do you say this? A certain courage to find that ember again, right? So bear with me on this. Like when you're at that moment where you can't see one ember, right? And when we follow a dream, it takes that one singular moment, for example, not giving up on life, and to see the medicine in there. And to put wind on that thing, right? And then to find the dry kindling again. So I think the gift that I've been given, and probably good for me to just speak out loud and not be afraid to give myself some praise, is that I've walked through a pretty wretched storm, like many of us, and provided a campfire. Here comes the dreaming mind for all of us to find home again. You know?
Right.
And so anyone listening, including y'all here, like come through and come sing, and you're feeling freaking amazing or you're lost, you know, both of that's welcome, you know? And so I really am dreaming into the future, really beautiful and expansive circles that continue to expand, and you know, and life contracts too. We got to come back.
I see it in the Moda Center.
Well, yeah, the thing is, I see this in amazing cathedrals, where anyone can believe in whatever they want, and they can come home and sing these "We Are Resilient Beings," you know, thank you music, these simple songs where you don't have to argue over that lyric. Thank you music for making my life so rich.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't believe in that.
Right, or just the sheer, utter, miraculous fire hit, like nourishing us and magnifying and seeing our eyes and like the awe and the miracle of life. If there's going to be one most important teacher, also it's the kids. Because the newborn that lives inside of us and the innocence is so key. So speaking that in, and that feels like a good little stamp on the.
Put a stamp on it.
Stamp on it.
Hey, I just want to say to everybody out there, if you're struggling, if you're going through it, just remember that you're not by yourself. If you don't have somebody that you can reach out to, you can always reach out to us. You can hit me in the DMs at No Simple Road on Instagram, and you can also shoot me an email at info@nosimpleroad.com. I will answer every single one, and you guys that have done it know that I will. So yeah, you're not alone, and if you don't feel like you can do that, there's always, you know, your people around you. So please don't just sit there and wallow in it. You gotta keep going and push through, because the gifts lie on the other side of it. All right.
Come on.
We love y'all. We will be back on Monday with another
Weekly
episode
Rewind.
of the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind. And until then, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger.
Love yourself.
Safety third. Hydrate.
Go visit a song circle.
Yeah, go check out Max, y'all. Love you. Peace.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? No simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hi, this is Henry Kay, host of the #1 music history podcast, Rootsland. Come with me on a journey to Kingston, Jamaica, where we explore the world of reggae music and the untold stories of some of the genre's greatest legends. From the ghettos and tenement yards where the music was born, to the island's iconic recording studios. We are so excited to team up with Osiris Media, the leading storyteller in music, because as you'll hear, sometimes the story is the best song.